Hi, everyone, and welcome to another TalentLMS masterclass. In this session, we'll explore how you can create, manage, and deliver engaging live training experiences in TalentLMS, whether you're hosting virtual workshops, in-person sessions, or even hybrid events. My name is Irini. I'm a senior customer onboarding consultant here in TalentLMS, and I will be hosting this session alongside with my good colleague, Danny.
Hi everyone, I'm Danny. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at TalentLMS. I'm really excited for today's session. We've got a lot in store for you, so stay tuned.
And after the proper introductions, let's explore our agenda for today. Over the next hour, we'll walk through everything you need to bring your training sessions to life, step by step. More specifically, we'll explore how to design instructor-led training sessions, or ILTs, as we call them, from scratch, online and on-site, and some very interesting use case scenarios. Then we'll see how learners join and participate in those sessions. And finally, we'll explore the ILT reports that track attendance and performance. Now, before we move on, just a reminder that this webinar is being recorded and will be sent to you all by email once it's over. So feel free to share it with anybody who is interested in designing live experiences in TalentLMS. And if you have noticed, there was a fourth point in the agenda about the Q&A. During the session, a live Q&A will be taking place. So this webinar is your chance to ask any questions about TalentLMS. We have Yanis in the background that will be answering actively all your questions, and some of them will also be answered by us live. So feel free to use the Q&A button in order to ask your questions. You can easily find it at your meeting controls on your screen. Now, you might be wondering, why include instructor-led sessions when you already have self-paced courses? Well, live training adds the human touch to online training. It's a way to combine the flexibility of e-learning with the interactivity of a classroom experience. In other words, it combines the best of both worlds, the structure of traditional classroom learning with the flexibility of online training. In a business environment, this blended learning approach means mixing online content, real-time interactions, and self-paced modules, giving learners a complete engaging experience. But let's keep the textbook definitions and talk about why ILTs actually make a difference in TalentLMS. First of all, they boost engagement. Learners have access to all kinds of material, videos, audio clips, interactive presentations, keeping things dynamic and exciting. We've mentioned in previous webinars how important visual content is, especially for Gen Z learners who crave variety and stimulation. ILT help deliver that. Second, they support different learning styles. Some people learn best by reading or watching, others by discussing or practicing. With blended learning, everyone gets a chance to learn their way. Learners can revisit materials anytime, study at their own pace, and still enjoy real-time support during live sessions. It's a perfect mix of flexibility and connection. Next, you can track progress and performance more effectively. ILT reports in TalentLMS give instructors a clear overview of each learner's journey, who's doing well, who might need extra help, and how each course is performing overall. Which brings us to the next big benefit, gathering and sharing feedback. Communication flows naturally in ILTs. Learners can share any challenges they face, and instructors can see firsthand what's working and what needs tweaking. This creates a learning loop where everyone benefits and courses continuously improve. And finally, live sessions make learning fun. With interactive elements, gamification features, and real-time discussions, learners don't just consume content, they connect with it. It's an experience that motivates people to take charge of their learning and actually enjoy it along the way. So let's dive in and start building engaging live learning experiences together. So I will stop sharing now. And Danny, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much, Irini. So let's dive right in. My aim during the first part of today's webinar is to walk you through how we can set up ILT sessions that are engaging and accessible for our users that can help you to deliver the live training that you want to in your platform. Now, first things first, we're going to do some essential setup first. And to do that, I'm logged in as an admin today. Now, as you know, admins are responsible for the configuration of the platform. It's the admins that make the decisions on a lot of the portal settings. So we're going to start exactly there today. We're going to go to our account and settings, first of all, and then we're going to find our integrations tab. And it is from this tab, if we scroll down, that we will find our web conferencing tools. And this is the first step in creating our ILTs. What we need to do is we need to connect TalentLMS with one of our web conferencing tools that we see in front of us. We also have here an integrated video conferencing tool. This is a native tool that lives inside of TalentLMS. It allows you to, right off the bat, create live sessions that you want for up to 40 participants. So that's 39 learners and 1 instructor. Now, if you are interested in connecting TalentLMS with another web conferencing tool, you have the options in front of you here. So you have Zoom Meeting, Zoom Webinar, GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, GoToTraining. We have Microsoft Teams there as well, and also the big blue button integration. Let's say, for example, I want to connect with Zoom. What I need to do is I just simply click on here and enable this conferencing tool. Keep in mind, you need to make sure that the capacity here matches whichever plan you have subscribed to externally. Okay. Now, if I click on save, that's the first step. And as you can see, the Zoom integration there is now enabled. There's an important second step here that needs to be taken by the instructors. Okay, each instructor needs to connect their account with an individual Zoom account. For example, if you are using Zoom, whichever web conferencing tool you've chosen, the instructors need to connect their account with one of these web conferencing accounts. So to do that, if I've selected Zoom, for example, all I need to do is go to here. As an instructor, I'm logged in as an admin, but it's okay. As an instructor, the same. We can go to my profile and scroll down. And here, the instructors will have the option to connect their account with the web conferencing tool. This is something that needs to be done once by the instructors. Once it's done, the good news is that you don't have to do that again. And as you can see, that the system's actually remembered that I've done this in the past because I didn't need to click again to connect my account. So that's an important second step there for the instructors to make sure that they connect accordingly. Now, for today's demonstration, I'm going to head back to the integrations, and I'm actually going to use the integrated tool today to show you how we can handle our training right off the bat here within TalentLMS. When you're using the integrated tool, I don't need to go through the process of connecting with my profile, as I just showed you. Okay, so let's go ahead and create some sessions. We're just about ready now to begin creating ILTs. Now, the important thing to remember here is that an ILT is a unit that exists within a course. So in order to be able to create ILTs, we're going to need to create a course or edit an existing course. So let's go and do that together. If I click on courses here, I'm going to be working with an existing course. This is the Getting to Know TalentLMS course. And if I click in edit here, we can begin adding some ILT sessions. To add an ILT, we simply go to the add button over here. We find the learning activities, and under learning activities, we can begin adding them like so. So if I click on here, this will then give me my 3 ILT options. So we always have 3 different types of ILT that we can create. We have an online session, which uses an integrated tool. This is the exact tool that we have just integrated with in TalentLMS. So that can be the integrated tool I'm using. It can be through Zoom or Microsoft Teams, for example, whichever you've chosen to connect with. The second option is to create an in-person session to be hosted at a physical location with a trainer. And the third one is to create an online session, this time using a different external tool. So something that is not within our integrated tools in TalentLMS. Maybe you've chosen to use a different web conferencing tool. You have the option to create an online session using something generated from that. So let's go ahead and look together. Let's create an online session first with our integrated tool. So let me just give that a quick refresh there. just to make sure we're up to date. The first thing when we're creating an online session, let's call this day 1, we need to give it a name. We need to choose a date and a time that it's going to start. We also need to select an instructor. This needs to be an instructor that's already registered on the course. And of course, the duration. So using the slider here, I can set the duration for my online session. I can also add a description if I want to. And if I'd like, I can change the color scheme. So let's go for red in this case. And there you have it. Just like that, we've created our first ILT session. We can see in front of us the registration card, which gives us the details that we've entered already. We can see the date, the time, the instructor, our capacity. We can see the location. This is an online tool. And because we've created the session using the integrated online tool, it automatically generates for us the join link, because it's gone through the integration that we've set up already. And this join button is going to appear about 15 minutes before the session begins. So 15 minutes before the start date of this session, the users are going to be able to join the session using that button over there. A bit later on, we're going to see how users can be added to ILTs and register. For now, I'm going to continue showing you how we can do some of the initial setup here. So if I click here, you can also have the option here to edit the ILTs. Just keep in mind, once you've set up the duration, this cannot be edited in an online session. So if you need to do any changes there, it's better to create the ILT unit again because you won't be able to change the duration. What else can we do? We can also, from here, the ILT options, we can define how the ILT is going to be completed by our users. So this can be when the instructor provides feedback, which is the default option. If you've worked with assignment units before, this is pretty much the same thing. After the ILT, it's up to the instructor to give the participants some kind of grade or passing score that is going to essentially complete the unit in the course for them. So until that happens, the unit is not going to be completed. We also have the option when the session has ended. So as soon as the session ends, so for example, this one on the 5th, the unit is going to be marked as completed in the course. And finally, when the learner attends the session. So this one is dependent on the learners attending the session. If the learner does not attend the session, the unit is not going to be completed for them. And there you have it. These are the options that we have. Let's go ahead now and explore the other types of ILT we can add. So again, adding through learning activities a new ILT. What we can do here, an in-person session this time. Much the same as before. We can add a name, we can add a date and a time. For example, we have the instructors, which we can select. We can also add in a capacity if we want to. Since this is taking place in a physical location, we have the option here to add a location. So I've just simply put the office. And again, we can add our duration, our description, and a color as well before saving. And here we have a registration card, this time for an ILT held at our offices, for example. And you'll notice that there's no join button this time. This is because as it's an in-person session, we're not going to see any link that's generated there. And let's go ahead and see the last one. This time we're creating an online session using an external tool. So let's go for day 3. Start time like so. Again, the instructor and the capacity, the same. Let's have a 30-minute session this time. And very important, in the description, when you're creating an online session with an external tool, this means that you will have had to create the session outside of TalentLMS. So whichever web conferencing tool you're using, you will have had to create that meeting first, and then you can simply take the URL from that meeting, whichever the join link is or whatever is needed to click on to join that session, and you can simply copy and paste it into the description here. This gives your users a way to join the session on the day by going through the description, finding the URL and clicking on it to be able to join the session accordingly. Okay, so a very important step there if you're using the external tool. And again, much the same. Once we're done, we can click save. And with that, we have our 3 different types of ILT sessions ready to go. So I'm going to now hand the mic back to Irini, as we've looked at how to set up the ILTs. Now we're going to take a closer look at some different scenarios that we may encounter when setting these up for different use cases. So Irini, the floor is yours again.
Thank you, Danny. So let me just share my screen really quick. So I'm already logged in as an administrator, and let me access the course that Danny is using so far. So I can demonstrate my use case scenarios. Of course, what I'm going to do is deactivate the course. It's a practice that we always recommend our customers to do. When you're editing a course, the best practice would be to keep it inactive. And when you have finalized the course, then activate it so the learners will have a smoother experience. Now, what Danny has done right now is he has created 3 independent ILT units. By default, the learners in the course will need to complete the unit sequentially. And of course, all units should be completed. So in this case, all 3 ILT units should be completed. So the learner will be awarded with a certificate and the completion of the course. But what if you have this use case where you want to give some more flexibility to the learners? Maybe you're building hybrid events and you would like to share some options to your learners so they can pick up the session that fits best their calendar, whether that would be an on-site session or an online session, or maybe if I'm not mistaken, it's already a question from Betsy. She's asking, is it possible to set up multiple ILT options so that users in different time zones can pick up the most convenient one to attend? So let's explore this use case scenario. So what I'm going to do is create a brand new ILT. And since it's a unit, I will be using a title to name this ILT, and I have already prepared something for you. So just bear with me to copy what I have prepared. So let's name this ILT Meet Your Instructors, okay? And I'm going to start with an online session with integrated tool. So the session name will be this one, Building Connections in Your Learning Journey. Okay. Let's select the date. Let's say it's for the 10th, and let's pick up randomly a time. Let's say 9:45. And let's say that this session is 45 minutes. I will be adding also a description. So let me copy that one more time and paste. And let's change the accent color. Let's make it green and save. So what I've done right now is I have created a registration card, let's say, where the learners will need to click the register button and then the join button 15 minutes before the ILT session starts. But our use case here is that I want to provide the flexibility to my learners to pick up the ILT that fits best their calendars. So in the exact same ILT unit, what I'm going to do is click another one. And again, since it's going to be the same ILT, I'm just giving, the flexibility to my learners to pick up a different date if they want to. I will use the exact same title. Let's select a different date, a different time. In this case, I can also select a different host. Let's say 45 minutes, and let's add the same description as well. Okay, let's add it here. And I will use a different accent color. Let's make that a little bit yellow and save. Okay, so what we have here is 2 different ILT sessions that will be 2 different dates, basically, for the same ILT session. The learners in this case will have 2 different registration cards with 2 different registration buttons. They will click register on the date that fits best their calendar, and then the other option will go away. Later on, we will demonstrate the learner's experience, so you will have the chance to see how this works from the learner's perspective. Now, of course, if I wanted to, I could change the location and make it on-site and just add the headquarters maybe of my company, or give more dates here. So this is what you have to do if you want to share the flexibility to the learners to pick up a date. Now, another interesting use case is when you have an ILT session that will be too long, for example. It's an ILT session that will last like 3 or 4 hours. And you don't want to do it as in one session, because the point here is to keep the engagement of our learners. So what can we do? Can we break this ILT in pieces? Yes, we can do that. And still the learner will need to attend in all sessions, but they will need to use just one registration button to mark their attendance, their will to attend. So what I'm going to do is use another learning activity, another ILT, and let me just add the title for this ILT as well. Okay, so this is a live event. Meet your instructors and get learning ready. And let's build our first session. So our first session would be about getting to know your instructors. And I'm gonna do that on the 11th. Let's say randomly I'm picking a date. Let's say this will last for 2 hours. And for this first session, I will use this description. Okay, and save. So this is my first session. Again, I will go in the exact same ILT. So let's select another online session. And let's say that this one will be session number 2, working together for success. Again, I'm going to pick up another date and randomly different time. Let's set it up for 2 hours. And since this is part 2, it's going to have like a different description. Now, at this point, before I hit save, what I need to do is enable this, create a multi-session. This is the option that will link these 2 sessions together, because if you remember the use case, we have an ILT that we want to break it in 2 pieces, and both sessions should be attended by the learner, but will only have one registration button. So I will select the session that this one will be linked into, and I'm going to give this multi-session a name. Let's use the one that we used for the ILT. And there you go. So you can really tell the difference here, because in this session, we had 2 different registration cards, but in this one, which is a session that I've broken in 2 pieces that my learners needs to attend both, they're connected together. There will be one registration button, but again, the learners will need to hit join for each session 15 minutes before the session starts. And if you remember at the beginning, we've mentioned that by default, the learners should complete the courses in sequential order. So maybe you're wondering, is it possible to register users of my own? Or maybe you don't want to leave that up to them. Maybe you want to have full control of who will be accessing your sessions and who not. Can we do that? Yes, we can do that. We can manage users and register them to the sessions on their behalf. So what I'm going to do is use this session in this case. You can see this button here, Manage Users, and then you will click Add User. And you can either select the users like this and use the mouse actions to add them to the session, simple like that. Or you can start adding them one by one if you prefer to. Now, I will activate the course because I'm ready. And now my learners can start registering for my sessions and access and join when the time comes. Now, Danny mentioned that when we set up an ILT, by default, the option is to have the instructor grading the attendance, provide the feedback, and then the ILT will be completed. So you might be wondering, how can I grade my learners? Well, you can do that through the course and the ILT you're willing to grade. So if you have noticed here, I have the number 5. That means that I have 5 people that have been registered. So if I click on the ILT and click again, Manage Users, from here, I will see the list of users that have been registered to my ILT. Of course, if the ILT was concluded, they will still be in a pending status, but I would also have their attendance marked. This is saved if the users have clicked the join button or not. Of course, this is something that I can change from here. So if I want to, I can mark this user as attendant or mark as absent. And of course, when it comes into grading, I can click here, check the session if I want to, and grade or add some comments, which are optional. But the most important thing is that in here, I will select as an instructor if that learner has passed or not the unit. So let's click passed for that particular user. Of course, I can reset and mark as not passed if this is not what I was looking for. Alternatively, if I go back and change into my instructor's dashboard, I can click on the grading hub. From here, clicking on the ILT sessions, I will have the list of all the users that are pending for my review. So I can really see from here the name of the user, the course and the unit, the ILT unit they have been registered, the session date, and of course, I can again click in here and mark as passed or not passed, and also go to grading and give my comments and my grading as well. Now, this is something that you can do for the online sessions, but what happens with the on-site? Because as I mentioned before, the attendance of the learner will be tracked if they click the join button. What happens with the on-site sessions where the learners do not have a join button to click because all they have to do is just attend the session in the location that is being added? Well, for this, we have this solution. So we click again, edit course. And if I click here and manage users, we have these options, the print attendance sheet. So if you click it, by default, what will be on that attendance sheet would be the name and the email. But of course, if you have created any custom user fields, you can definitely select and have them included. And if you hit the print button, the attendance sheet will look like this. Let's allow it a couple of seconds to load. The attendance sheet will look like this. So we have the name, the email, the custom user fields that I have chosen to include, and the signature field where the learners will need to sign so they can prove they have attended the on-site session. Then you can take this, and based on that attendance sheet, you can mark accordingly if they have passed or not the session. And last thing, before I pass the mic to Dani, so you can all experience the learner's point of view, are there any ways to send notifications to users in regards to ILTs? Yes, of course, we have that covered. So I changed as an administrator so I can access the notifications. And if you click add notifications, you will see from the event list that we have notifications related to the Instructor-Led trainings. We have an event that will trigger a notification when an ILT session is created. And of course, in this case, if you want to notify the learners that have been enrolled to that particular course will be notified. On ILT session registration, that could be ideal if you want to share some specific guidelines with your learners when they register a session, or if you want to create a notification for your instructors as well, so they can get notified about who is registering to their sessions. X hours before an ILT session starts, that can work as a reminder for your learners that have been registered in a session that their webinar is about to start, so they should join. And of course, an ILT grading that will inform all the learners that have been graded passed or not passed, and maybe have some comments from the instructor about this, so they can jump back in and see from themselves what are the comments of the instructors. Just to give you an idea how an ILT notification would look like, what we have created here is an ILT that works as a session reminder. This is how we've named this ILT notification. And we've used this, the X hours before an ILT session starts. So 2 hours before the session starts, our related user, which is the learner in this case, will be getting this message. And of course, we include smart tags, so we can personalize this email, and the learners will get exactly what they need to be informed to. I hope this helps. And with that said, I will be stop sharing and passing the mic back to Dani. So Dani? Can you please demonstrate how learners experience this?
Absolutely, Irini. We're going to dive straight into the learner view now. So I'll begin by sharing my screen with you again. Perfect. So whenever we do live demonstrations like this, it's always nice to see what our end users are going to be seeing in the platform. So what I've got in mind today is to show you exactly what the learners will experience when registering for an ILT. So a pro tip here, if you are a super admin, if you have the admin rights, what you can do is you can find a user, for example, my user here, that's added to the ILT course, and you have the option here to log in as them. So you can view TalentLMS through the eyes of this learner that I have. So let's log in as the learner, and you'll see that I'm going to be automatically transported to the learner dashboard. And right away, we have the course where I'm registered as a learner, where we have these ILTs. So let's go in here. We click on Start. And here we can find the different types of ILT that Irini created a few moments ago. We have the first option here, which was it's 2 ILT sessions hosted on 2 different days, the 10th of November and the 18th of November. And our learners here have a choice. They can choose which one they want to attend. We can see that they're both online sessions hosted online. And we both have the option here to register for either one. So let's say as the user, it's more preferable for me the 10th of November. So all I have to do, I go into the unit, go into the registration card and click on register. And just like that, I'm registered to the ILT successfully. And as this is an online session, remember that, again, I'm going to get the join link there 15 minutes before the session begins. So 15 minutes before the session, I can return to this registration card. I can click on join to be connected to the ILT to begin. What else can I do as a learner? I can also, if I want, add this session to my personal calendar. Okay, in TalentLMS, our learners, they do have their own calendar, which they can see when they're logged into the platform. I know sometimes it's preferable for users to be able to see things on their personal calendar. So they can, if they wish, add this to their personal calendar using the options over here. Now, let's say, for example, that maybe I changed my mind. I've registered for the wrong ILT here. I prefer the 18th. No problem. I can just click on unregister here. And once again, my second option returns. So I'm going to opt for the 18th. And by doing that, it's now updated. So I'm now registered for the session on the 18th. So that's the options that the users have. Very simple, very easy to be able to engage with the ILTs. Now let's go to the second option that Irini created. So we have a different scenario here. We have a multi-session linked. We have a session on the 11th of November and the 13th of November. We have only one registration. Why? Because it's a linked session. Our users are going to need to register for both. It counts as one session. It's just broken up into 2. So what I'll do here, I'll simply click on register. Again, I can add to my calendar if I want to over here. And as it's 2 different sessions, I can click the join button. I'll get 2 join buttons as they're 2 separate sessions. So on the 11th, I'll need to come in, find the registration card and click join. That would take me into the session. And again, on the 13th of November, I'll return here, find my join button, and join for the second part of this session. So again, very easy for the users to do there. And now that we've done that, what I want to show you now is how our users can actually kind of keep track of things a little bit. So if I go back, I mentioned a few moments ago that our users do have, our learners specifically have the calendar. So if I click on the calendar, I'm going to see the events that I've registered for. Okay, so we had something on the 10th that I registered for. We also had this one as well. So you can see that from my calendar, I can see all of the different ILTs, live sessions that I have registered for appearing there. I get all the details, the description, and of course the option to join the online session. Okay, so if it's more preferable, the users can just simply look through their calendar on the day. They can find the sessions that they've been registered to. They can click on the join button and they'll be able to join that way. Now, what happens if you've used the external tool, an online session using the external tool? This is where the description comes in very importantly. As I mentioned before, your users will be able to find within the description the link to join the session using the external tool. So again, they'll find on their calendar, they'll go to the description, they'll have the link in the description embedded there. They'll be able to click it to join the session. As well. And of course, if there's a classroom session, okay, there won't be a link there, but your users will still be able to keep track of that as well. So that's how you can quite easily find your ILT sessions from the calendar. A couple of other things here before I move on. In the learner dashboard, you also get something like this to remind you. So if you do have an ILT happening today as a learner, you're going to get some kind of a message here that's telling you you've got the ILTs. And just as sort of a heads up before that, you've also got the don't miss section as well. So it's telling me here that I'm registered for 3 sessions this month. So something to keep an eye on. I'm going to get some kind of a reminder here. And of course, when I'm ready, I can go in through the calendar if I like to go and join the session. And that's pretty much it for the learner view. Very simple, very accessible on the learner side. And once you've done testing that, to return as an admin, it's very easy. All I need to do is click up here on the back to admin button, and that's going to transport me back to my admin account as before. So great tip there. This applies to anything in TalentLMS. If you want to try something out, it's always a good idea to create a test user, log in as them. You can experience things as your users are going to experience them firsthand in the platform. And with that, I'm going to move on slightly here to another area, which I think deserves some attention, which is the reporting in TalentLMS, specifically on ILTs. So when it comes to reporting, there's a wide range of different reports inside TalentLMS, and that doesn't end at the ILTs. With the ILTs, as admins, as instructors, we can get our detailed reports on the ILTs that are happening. So let's have a look at how we can do that. Again, this time I'm logged in as an admin. All I need to do is go to reports and then learning activities. And what we see first of all is a wide range of different unit types. The learning activities is going to give you a report on your SCORM units, assignments, ILTs, tests, for example, all these kinds of things. What we can do is we can use the filter option here to just focus on exactly what we want to see. So I want to see only ILT units. So I filtered it this way. And what this report is telling us is essentially it's showing us every single ILT unit that has been created within our TalentLMS account. And more specifically, from left to right, it's telling us the name of the ILT that's been created, the type of unit that it is. Okay, we've already filtered to ILT. It's showing us the course that this ILT belongs to, as well as the status of the users within this course. So completed means that it's been marked as completed, it's done. In progress means that the users, they haven't received the feedback yet from the instructor. Perhaps they've attended the ILT, they haven't received the feedback. You've got not passed, meaning that for whatever reason, this unit has not been passed by the users, not completed. And not attempted means that it simply means that the users have not reached the ILT yet in the course. Okay, so if you see that, this is what it's telling you here. And of course, you've also got the average score as well. So this is where you can find all of the different units. What you can do from here is, if you want to have this report, something you can use as a backup, you can always download it as a CSV, and this is going to give you everything that I've shown you already in here. So that's the first type of report. The second type of report is being able to drill down into the ILT sessions themselves. So let's say I want to get a report on an individual ILT, not all of them. So let's go and see the ILT that Irini created. So it was Meet the Instructor, and it was part of the Getting to Know TalentLMS course. So if I click on this, it's going to give us straight away some metrics on that specific ILT unit, the activity, the unit success rate, for example. This can also be exported in Excel if you want to download it in Excel format. It can also, of course, if you're familiar with TalentLMS reports, you can also schedule these reports to be sent out in a time frame of your choosing to custom recipients as well. So you can have that on an automatic rolling basis. And from here, from the different tabs, again, we get some more information on the users within this ILT. So here we can see a number of users in various statuses. For example, again, not attempted. So we have a couple of users that haven't reached the ILT just yet. They're on the course, they haven't reached it. We've got some that perhaps hasn't been graded yet. We've got some that have been. And the great thing about this report, of course, as an admin, you can also manually update where needed. So if you need to maybe complete something for a learner, you can do that. And at the same time, if someone is completed, you can also reset them as well from the buttons over here. So you've got a lot of quick buttons to help you manage that. What else have we got? We've also got this tab here, which is sessions. You'll remember that within the ILT, we had two different sessions created from Irini. So this will also give you the breakdown of the different sessions that fall under a particular unit, especially if there's a unit with multiple sessions, for example. And again, you can get the information regarding the location, the capacity so far, the date, instructors, and all of this can again be downloaded as a CSV file as well. And finally, within the unit, you also have a timeline as well. So from the timeline report, you can keep up to date with any of the key events that have happened specifically within this ILT. And with that, that's pretty much a roundup of what you can do with the ILT reports. Let me show you very quickly, because we do have a couple of minutes here. If I just switch to an instructor quickly, I can also go through here through the learning activities as well. And of course, as an instructor, it's going to be showing me courses, information, units where I'm the registered instructor. Okay, so the instructor can also go through and take a look at these specific reports as well. So just to also show you there what the instructor is going to see. And with that, Irini, I think it's about time for us to jump into the Q&A. I can see it's been on fire today, so I'm looking forward to having a look at what our audience have been asking.
Would you mind starting with a question so I can give you a break?
Yeah, of course.
I've already picked up some of the questions, and indeed they're very interesting. So let me just share my screen. I hope you do see my screen right now. You see the notification page because it was also very exciting to answer questions in the background. So let me start with two questions from our audience that have asked the exact same thing. One comes from Sarah, who is asking, will the integrated tool record the session? And the other question comes from Regan, can the integrated ILT be recorded so learners can go back and review? So the native integrated tool that we have, it's a basic version of the Big Blue Button. So I'm afraid that if you're interested of having your sessions recorded, the best practice would be to perform the integration. Let me get you there. Perform the integration for a Zoom or a GoToMeeting or a Teams conference tool if you're using any of those tools. So you can moderate the session better because by the time you create the ILT unit and you have one of those conferencing tools integrated, this will also reflect to your Zoom or Teams account. So you can moderate the session as you would do if you have been building from scratch that session from there. And of course, you can also record. Now, once the session is being recorded, it will not be submitted automatically in your TalentLMS course. This is something that you will need to do after you have downloaded, I don't want to add a course. I'm really sorry. So this is something that you will need to do with two different options. If the session is not exceeding the 600 megabytes, you can download it and upload it from here as a video from the standard content, maybe after the ILT unit. So anyone who has missed that unit can also revisit, or anyone who wants in general to revisit that. Or if it exceeds the 600 megabytes and you have stored that recording in a shared drive, just make the link public and you can embed it within your course through the iframe unit. You just paste the URL here, hit the enter button, and the learners, without leaving the TalentLMS, can definitely watch that recording. I hope this helps. There's another question coming from Warren. Do all attendees to an ILT need to have TalentLMS accounts active? Yes, it's a requirement to have an active TalentLMS account, because if you don't have an active TalentLMS account, you cannot access the course, you cannot access the platform at all. So keep in mind that all the learners that needs to attend an ILT session should have, first of all, active accounts so they can access the platform, and should also be enrolled in the respective course where the ILT lives. Otherwise, it's not going to be possible for them to access that session. And another question coming from Dory: is the integrated video tool available to all subscription levels? Yes, the integrated video tool, the integrated conference tool is available to all subscriptions. And of course, if you're using Zoom or Teams, you can definitely integrate that with TalentLMS regardless your subscription. And I will be answering one question before another question before I pass the mic to Dani. And this question, let me just pick it up. There's a question coming from Alex. Can I upload materials or resources for each ILT session? I suppose you're talking about files that you would like to share with the learners in advance of that ILT session. What you can do is upload those files through here, because in general, the units that we create in our TalentLMS courses cannot be downloaded. So if these materials you would like to share should be downloadable as well, you can upload the files from here. You will have a list like this, and by the time you click shared, the learners will have the option to download those files from the course info page. Of course, in order to give them instructions of how they should be downloading those files, giving them that information in advance, you can either include that on the notification under the event on ILT registration. So by the time they register to that ILT, they will get that notification that we give them the guidelines. Or if you want to, you can include that information in the description of the ILT, or in the session, or in the description of the ILT in general. Give them here instructions that they should be downloading the material that you shared from the files. I hope this helps, and I will be stop sharing now to pass the mic to Dani so he can also answer some questions.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Irini. So I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. So let's go to the dashboard here. So we did have a couple of questions here, a couple that I'm going to have a look at together with you now. I'm trying here, because we had a lot of similar questions today. I'm trying to make sure I don't answer the same questions twice. We do have an interesting question here from Brian, which I think it's worth covering and showing everyone. Can you have more than one instructor as a host on an ILT session? Okay, you may have noticed earlier when I was setting up the ILT session that I could choose one instructor, myself or Irini, for example. By default, when you create an ILT session, you can only have one instructor registered on the ILT. However, there is a way that you can get around that. Okay, let's go and have a look at the course that we were looking at earlier, the Getting to Know TalentLMS course that myself and Irini are instructors on. And as you can see here, you do have the option to change a user's role within a course. I can change Irini, for example, to a learner in this ILT. And what that will do is, first of all, it will allow Irini then to register to the ILT so that myself and Irini can host it together. And once the ILT was started, I can simply hand the mic over to Irini, like we've been doing today in our session, and we can host it together, for example. So you can make the adjustments accordingly. I think this is a great tip and a great workaround, just in case you do want to have a couple of hosts on the ILT. This is a very quick way to ensure that you can get around that as well. I also have a question here from Rachel. Rachel has made a good point here, asking what's the difference between an ILT and a conference. I think it's worth covering this as well today, because we do support another way of delivering live conversations, communications, training, this kind of thing, but through a slightly different method, which is the conference tool in TalentLMS. So if I switch to an instructor quickly, you'll notice as an instructor, I do have the option there for a conference. So what's the difference between an ILT and a conference? The very simple answer is that an ILT is always connected to a course. An ILT, as we saw before, is a unit within a course. Without a course, an ILT cannot exist. We must set up these courses with our ILTs. A conference, on the other hand, if I click into here, I can show you. This will allow you to create conferences very similar to how we saw with the ILT before. So let's say I want to have like a team sync, for example. I can choose a date, a start time. I can set the duration, for example. I can add a description in here and save that. What this essentially will do is it will create a session for me so that I can then host a session outside of a course with my users, for example. Let me just give that a quick refresh there. Let me see if I can. This one. Okay, so I've created the team sync duration. And from here, once that's set up, you can manage users. So you can add users that you wish from there, and they'll be added to the conference. And this is a way, again, that you can host these meetings if you need to have a sync or something like that outside of a course. If it's not necessary to be within a course, you do have that option as well. So that's the main difference between ILTs and the conferencing tools. Okay. Now let's have a look, see if we've got anything else. Okay, so we have an interesting question here from Derek as well. I think this is important to cover. Derek is asking, I think there was a time where perhaps Derek had created an ILT and Derek's users were seeing a different time schedule for the ILT, even though Derek had set the time, and set everything up as we'd seen today. Derek's users were seeing a different time selected. This all goes back to the steps that we saw at the beginning of today's webinar when we're setting up in the profile the conferencing tool. What's also important to take into account here is the time zone. The time zone of the instructor is going to be the time zone that's reflected in the ILT that's created. Okay, so any ILTs that I create are going to be set up with this specific time zone. If you have users with a different time zone, they're going to be seeing they're going to be seeing the ILT in whichever time zone that they have set up. So that's why it's important for the instructors to connect with the first of all to connect with the web conferencing tool to make sure the time zone is correct. And if you're working with branches, for example, also to make sure that your branches are set to the correct time zone so that everyone's in sync and that everyone is seeing the ILTs at the time that everyone should see them, essentially. So thank you, Derek, for the question, and I hope that clears things up. Irini, I wonder, are there any other questions that have come through while I've been speaking that perhaps we can take a look at?
Yes, there is one question that I think it's worth mentioning before we wrap up, because we're coming into an end. So if I may, let me share my screen. Let me take that for you.
Of course.
So I hope you do see my screen. So one question coming from Sharon: can learners register and join the ILT sessions after they have started? Now, if the learner hasn't registered on time, it's not possible to register anymore. The button will not be available anymore. It will be replaced by the join button. So only learners that have managed to register on time will be able to join even after the ILT session has started. I hope this helps. And then there's another question. I think I had it here. Yes, coming from Team. The date and time of my ILT has changed. Can I update it? Well, if you're talking about a past ILT session or a current one that has some registrations, this is not possible. So in this case, you will need to create a new ILT from scratch, delete, let's say, the current one and create a new ILT from scratch. So any learner associated with the course will also be notified. And I think that that's a wrap. And thank you very much for joining. Whether you're new to TalentLMS or just looking to get more out of your live training, this masterclass is designed to give you a clear, practical guidance so you can use that right away. Now, I'm sorry that there will be more questions on the features of we discussed today, the ILTs, and maybe further questions about your exact use case or business specific questions. Feel free to send us an email to onboarding@talentlms.com, so we will get back to you. And of course, we're also very excited about your comments and your feedback about this webinar, whether you found it interesting or whether you have, more ideas of webinars that you would like to see in the future. Feel free to do so by following the link that Yanis has already posted in the chat. It's not going to take more than a minute. We do evaluate your feedback, so feel free to share your thoughts. And I think that's it. Thank you all again for joining. Thank you, Dani, for posting this session with me.
Thank you, Irini, and thank you to all the participants that joined as well. It's been great today.
And also thank you, Yanis, for answering all the questions in the background. And again, if you still have questions, feel free to send them over to onboarding@talentlms.com. Until next time, happy training.